Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Time. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nicholas Lamar Suter, and with us tonight, as always, is Commander Lance McMillan. Lance, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good, and I'm sure we'll get some doggies on here. Mine's over there, passed out, and if I don't prep, I got to prep her before the show. I got to wake her up and give her some treats because I feel guilty, and get her, and then she'll just come up here.
Well, as soon as we started talking about going live, that's when River wandered out of the room.
oh yeah. They know they're being used. They know that she's like, you're not going to pay me, so screw it. Oh, so a couple
I don't get treats out of this. Why would I do it?
Yeah, I know. Well, there's no way I would get her over here without the treats. So, I do have a picture. I'll have to send it to you. For whatever reason, she really likes asphalt, and it's really concerning because it hit 109 out here. We have black pavement, and I'm walking, and she's walking on it. And I put my hand on it, and I was just like, ow. And then there's grass right along. No, she's not going to walk on the grass. If she thinks there's a mole or something, I was just like, boom, I yoink her onto the grass. She kind of looks up at me and then just hops right back onto the asphalt. I'm like, okay, maybe she's a masochist. I don't know. Oh, dear.
Like with my dogs, the moment it snows, we ain't coming in for anything, man.
I love that
snow dogs.
I love there's one, and I'm pretty sure it's not AI. I think it came out before the AI thing, which we're going to talk about that too. We got a lot. Wow. Guy opens the door. The cat just jumps out. Actually, I think he opened a window or something. The cat jumps out and boom, goes all the way. I mean, the snow is the light powder goes all the way. You just can't see the cat anymore. It's just the hole where the cat landed in the snow. Oh my God. So
I saw one that was like that with a dog, small, terrierish kind of thing. And the snow's out, and he comes running and he jumps and he doesn't realize how deep the snow is. And floop, his head comes up, he turns around, runs right back inside. No, this isn't what I signed up for, man.
I had a dog, and we picked him up in San Diego. So he never had seen snow, and I forgot that he had never seen snow. I lived and grew up in Massachusetts. I was in San Diego for about 5 years. Come back to Massachusetts, and I think I've said this story before, but when I first landed in San Diego, they're like, "Oh, you're from the East. Everybody in the East is an asshole." I got really offended. By the time I was done, I was like, "No, it's just you guys raw nerves. Yes, we're assholes. I get it. I see why you say that." I'm like, when you go out in one of those puffy coats with a big hood, and you're just like, oh my God, it's 64 degrees out.
It's in the 60s. I'm freezing.
It's just like, okay. And then it's like, the weather really does. It makes them want to chat. So it's like, I'm on my way to the dentist appointment, and I have to avoid my neighbor, because if I see my neighbor is going to if we make eye contact, that's an invitation for a 10 or 15-minute conversation. So it just is. You can't not. That's that over there. Here, it's not. Here, it's just like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? So I'm just like, okay, avoid everybody. Just going into that. It's just like, they're going to think you're an asshole. Listen, if this is an asshole, fine. I'll take it.
I'm proud to wear the mantle.
Exactly. Oh, we did. We had this meme, speaking of wearing the mantles. I showed you this one earlier. So, yeah, we have a lot of great memes coming up on the Discord. There's a obvious. Check the Discord just for the memes, to be quite honest. Tell you what, if you're not a fan of the show, join the Discord just for the memes. You can always quit later, but this has just been a meme-rich environment. Where was the other one about? I should probably put that one up too, about what's her name? I want to say Kellyanne Conway, who is resigning. The argument is, although there's some question if she was even on the plane, she basically got really pissed when she found out that she was...
I'm half convinced that it's because the information got out. Now you have all these joking memes about him, and he's blaming her.
Oh.
Because as press secretary, it's her job to prevent that from happening.
That wouldn't surprise. That's a really good, you know what?
Remember, this is the guy whose entire cliched catchphrases, you're fired.
Oh, you know what? Wait, that can't be right. Oh, I thought they had found a replacement. It looks like Marco Rubio's taking the job. Hold on a second. We have a picture. Well, new White House press secretary, everybody.
Red is not flattering.
Yeah, red's not. Oh, at least it's not Hegseth.
Oh,
jeez.
Oh. I don't think I have enough bleach in the house to wash my eyes after seeing
that. Yeah. Well, just I can imagine his first day. I'm going to set some new rules for the press corps because you guys are all a bunch of liars. If you try to mess with me, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
All right, Mister Ed. It actually gets to, so apparently it turns out, and I would not have known this. Well, I actually kind of did, but that's only because everybody with an IQ over 65, 66 would have been able to figure this out, that when you fire a lot of your top generals because you don't like them and you don't think that they will serve a loyalty to, say, the president over the Constitution, that can have problems, especially in the area of logistics. And that one of the reasons they're having a hard time with logistics in the Middle East right now is because of the bases that are either not being properly managed or there's some conflation between either the Air Force or the Army and or the Navy, depending on who's supposed to be doing what, and there's just complete confusion on the bases that have still survived. It turns out too that there's a news story saying that it was an F-5. It was an Iranian F-5 that took out all three U.S. F-35s on the ground. It was flying about 50 feet off of the ground and managed to come in under basically everything. And one F-5 defeated three F-35s. Now, admittedly, they didn't have pilots and were on the ground, but still, you'd think that shouldn't be possible. So we've heard some really discouraging things aboard. It's the Lincoln. We found out that a sailor, in fact, did jump off of it. The sailor, it turns out, was successfully rescued, and no status update other than he was survived the experience. But we've heard of multiple suicide attempts. The conditions there appear to be absolutely atrocious. But it sounds like they're worse than the Ford when it went back, and finally, now there's relief headed that way. But having said that, a lot of the families are asking, how on earth could they have let it get this bad? So is it just mismanagement? Is it Iran is a super military force? And how bad is it?
Well, I'll start by saying one thing. When you say the Lincoln, everybody talks about the Lincoln because it's the big ship in that group. But battle groups deploy as a group of ships. The carrier is just the big showpiece in the middle of the formation. If things are that bad on the Lincoln, which has much bigger stocks of supplies and personnel to, fix things, imagine how bad it must be on the destroyers and cruisers that are the escorts for the Lincoln.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now the families have asked that it go back to San Diego. I don't know how practical that is. I mean, I would assume maybe they just want to get them as quickly as possible to the nearest friendly port and find a way to ship everybody back. That's what it sounds like.
Well, no, they won't do that.
Okay.
They have done things like that in the past, but it takes almost a year lead time to set up, finding, training up, and moving a replacement crew to swap out.
Oh, okay.
So what they might do is certain hardship cases might be let off to fly home early, because if you're simply transiting back across the IO and the Pacific, you don't need a full complement of personnel. So they might do that. But, with Keg's breath being in charge, Lord knows what. It's
how long is it going to take to
double
for them
the testosterone.
Yeah. They don't need. You know what?
They don't need food and toothpaste and underwear. No. They just need more testosterone.
You don't need runny eggs if you've got testosterone. Testosterone will replace any vitamin. It's vitamin T, man. That's all you need. Fuck calories. So how long is that trip going to take to get from there to San Diego?
Probably 5 to 6 weeks.
All right, that's not as bad as I was thinking. I thought you were going to say 2 to 3 months.
So it's about 3 weeks across the Pacific, and depending on where they are in the Indian Ocean, understanding Lincoln is not in the Persian Gulf itself. If they're in the eastern side of the Indian Ocean, it's 1 to 2 weeks to cross that.
Why aren't they in the Persian Gulf, out of curiosity? You'd think that they'd want to be in the
small body of water.
Okay.
Easy targeting solution for a nation with how many thousands of drones and missiles that we still haven't taken out?
No, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. We've won this war already like 26 or 27 times. I will not stand for this.
I'm sorry. I stand corrected. You're right.
Thank you. Jesus.
Iran has nothing left to shoot at us.
Iran has said
the occasional drone or missile they fire at our bases or our allies' bases, but that's nothing.
Which we can't see, and the Trump regime won't tell us anything about because it's going so well. Of the assassination attempts that we had mentioned that there was a distinct possibility that either the U.S. was inventing it as a false flag, or what I thought was more likely was Israel was inventing it so that we get pissed at even more pissed and stay in Iran. This is Saeed Abbas's response.
Let me. Yeah.
Just like, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. Just. The guy's right. When you're right.
Yeah. I want to address a couple of things that popped up in chat here. So, somebody said if they aren't in the Gulf, they can't get resupplied. Yes, but the issue is that most of the supply logistics chain that we had set up for ships that were out there was coming out of the Gulf. So we'd have to escort our ships in and out of the Gulf to draw those supplies. What they end up having to do is go somewhere else to get them. My guess is the nearest place they can safely go without having to go through either the Strait or the Bab el-Mandeb is probably Kenya. Who knows if the Kenyans are willing to cooperate? If they're not, then it gets really complicated. Where else is willing? Because we've kind of made enemies of a lot of people in Africa.
Wait a minute, but the Bab why can't they go through? International waters, right? They can't go through in south of Yemen.
Hello, Houthis.
Oh. Okay, I thought we solved that problem a couple of times too, but I could be wrong.
Absolutely, all these problems have been solved.
Oh, my bad. Once again,
we don't need to have ships over there because we've won the war already.
Their ships aren't even really there. It's all fake news.
What's with the negative vibes, Nick?
I know. Sorry, my bad. I know it's just a downer.
Somebody also said, "What about Diego Garcia?" Understand. Diego Garcia, everything has to go to Diego Garcia, and it's really way out there. Even a flight from Diego Garcia to the battle group is about 5 hours. And they're not going to be flying that many supply flights out to be able to supply a full battle group, particularly since they're also having to send munitions and fuel out to rearm the battle group after it's conducting all these strikes. So food and, bodily sanitation stuff, that's secondary. It can be solved with testosterone shots.
So it's the George Washington, USS George Washington.
So bad planning. Yeah, you think?
That's Trump's charm, is his unreliability. That's how he makes deals. Listen, he learned very quickly in business school how to make lots of money fast. And he said, well, okay, but that's what somebody sane would do. And I want to be unpredictable. So I'm going to go through 5 bankruptcies. And then people will think I have so much experience that I'll be named president of the United States. And to be fair, it worked. I don't think you could pull that off in just about any other country.
No. No.
Five bankruptcies. I'll vote for him.
Yeah. Now, I think the big problem is being there in the Northern Arabian Sea to conduct carrier ops where you can go strike targets in Iran puts you at kind of the long end limit of every supply chain we could come up with. And over the years, one of the things we've drawn back on is the logistical support train for fleet units. And it was because, well, we assumed we always have friendly ports that we can pull into to get anything done. You know, if we need supplies, we go there. If we need repairs, we can go to the dry dock in Singapore or what have you. And what we're finding now, obviously, is, if you're next to a country with thousands of drones and who knows how many missiles, well, all those friendly ports that we were relying on really aren't very reliable.
Well, and it seems like almost circular. So no, those ports can be defended by the ships at sea, which are getting their ammunitions from the ports that they're defending. While it's sort of the other thing I think nobody took into account.
To put this in context, let's assume that the Lincoln or whatever carriers out there drops 30% of the ordnance it has on board. Okay. That's going to be in the hundreds of tons. To fly that out from the magazines that we have on Diego Garcia in a C-2 carrier onboard delivery aircraft, which has a payload of, I'm guessing, maybe 5 tons. You can see how long it would take to just rearm 30% of the ordnance expended. And if you're continuing to expend ordnance every day, and you're continuing to burn fuel every day, all of this means you can't rely on the stocks you built up. It has to be stuff coming from the logistics hubs that you have in Yokosuka, Japan, Guam, Hawaii, San Diego, or Puget Sound. Those are the big places that we have all that stuff. All of those are a long distance away. And you need to have ships to transport it. And since we've decommissioned so many of our logistic ships, what are you going to do?
I can't imagine the frustration amongst the senior leadership in the Pentagon right now watching this happen. And I said earlier that it must be very difficult for you because these are the boys that you worked with, knew, and you've been at the. And
to some extent, this was one of my specialties.
Yeah,
was operational logistics, and so I'm watching this going on, and the only thing I can think is happening is people are trying to tell the planners in the Pentagon, we need to do this. This is a problem. We should have done this to fix it. We can do this in the interim to try to take up the slack. And a certain former TV host is telling them, no, more testosterone. We're getting what we deserve by electing a president who's a moron who appoints morons to surround him.
Yeah, but Hegseth was an almost famous moron.
Oh, yeah, that's
And if
true.
you've been on TV, that's the other thing. It seems like the number one qualification for he is definitely a child of like the 70s or the 80s, because for him it's like this person was on television, so they've got to be qualified to like run the military. It's really bizarre, but that's how it works with him. It's really freaking bizarre. I also noticed, it seems to me, so we've announced that we're closing many of the diplomatic missions we have in the Middle East. These closures are supposed to be from between 3 months to a couple of years. They've said that it has nothing to do with the war, but it...
Are these embassies that are being closed, or are these consulates?
I do not know. I know that ambassadors are leaving and they're closing quote missions.
If that's the case, then that means the embassy is being closed.
Okay.
And this is essentially completing the development that I saw going on towards the end of my career, which was, it used to be the king of Saudi Arabia, the emir of Kuwait, whatever, if they wanted to discuss an important strategic issue, they'd meet with the ambassador, who might have his naval or military attaché with him to take notes, and then they would communicate that back to the theater commander and say, here are the things that the Saudis or the Kuwaitis or whoever are concerned about. What started happening in the wake of Desert Storm, and then very definitely after, or actually in the lead up to the invasion of Iraq, was that the heads of government stopped interacting with the diplomatic corps, the American diplomatic corps. The ambassador was kind of this forgotten sideshow that nobody cared about. When he wanted something done, the king of Saudi Arabia or the emir of Kuwait or what have you, they went directly to the theater commander for the military forces. Now think of the implications that has. It means that the only thing that those countries respect or could possibly want from the U.S. is military related. Trade deals, yeah. I just need, another squadron of F-15s or what have you. And that's, I think, one of the downfalls of the system, is that we were moving in that direction already, and we've reached the, I won't say pinnacle, the nadir of that development under the Trump regime, where, yeah, we're going to close all these embassies and recall the ambassadors. Oh, yeah, we'll send them back after everything calms down. Sure, you will.
Yeah. Well, in addition, this hasn't been talked about much at all. And in my view, please, you have on occasion, I'm rarely wrong. But when I am, you've been good. You've been gentle, but politely corrected me. So correct me if I'm wrong. But this strikes me as some of the biggest news coming out of the Middle East in a very, very long time, in decades, was the Mecca agreement between Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan. And the reason being. Yeah. The only reason they keep us around is because we can protect them. Iran has demonstrated crystal clear, A, we really can't protect them. B, we kind of can't protect ourselves and may need bailing out. And so what I find interesting is Pakistan's not even in the Middle East. It's kind of Middle East adjacent. So, but they're like, yeah, come on in. You've got nukes. Welcome. And so,
welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. So now they've got a nuclear... and Pakistan would be more willing to nuke Iran than we would, actually.
Pakistan would be more willing to nuke Iran than they would India, who is their mortal enemy. Let's put it that way.
So now...
Why? Because India has nukes they could counter-strike.
Exactly. So... now you've set up this thing where the biggest thing we had to offer, really the only thing we had to offer outside of arms sales, which were purely transactional, the only thing we had to offer, we don't. If as reported, nearly every base has at least some damage, and some bases are beyond 50, or sorry, about 50% of the bases are beyond really being usable. A lot of barracks have been hit. They can't even keep the troops there anymore. It's like they're just going to say, and maybe, I don't know, maybe Trump wants to get completely out of the Middle East, which may not be a bad idea, but this has made the U.S. completely irrelevant, only so long as, and I expect this will happen, which is a lot of other countries are going to start to join. The Royal House of Saud has said they'll welcome anybody. Turkey has said they'll welcome anybody. Pakistan has said, bring it in. They have suggested having Iran join, and Iran's like, would consider joining. I'm just like, wait a minute, isn't that like letting the fox into the hen house? I think they're just being diplomatic. I could be wrong. But what are your thoughts on this agreement?
For them, this is going to sound strange. I think it's a good development because it means that they have to really start footing the bill for their own defense. And that isn't just buying ships, airplanes, and tanks. That's also the diplomatic side of things. That means making alliances and trade deals so that you have friendly relations and you don't fear that Bubba next door is going to start attacking you. So that works. The problem with relying on the U.S. has always been that the U.S. makes demands of you that it becomes really hard to refute. And so you have to keep doing stuff that may not necessarily be in your best interests.
I don't think any of the countries that have been helping us in this war wanted a war with Iran. I don't think they were looking forward to and they're stuck with the repercussions of our own actions.
I should caveat that.
Yeah.
I think there were probably elements in Iraq because Iran is constantly creating chaos and unsettling situations in Iraq. And to a lesser extent, I think the Saudis probably thought it might be a nice thing. But they all figured that if the U.S. were going to go to war, it would not be limited war. It would be a full, all-out, we're going in and we're going to raise this giant coalition of, the willing to go in and take this out, kind of like we did when we liberated Kuwait. And had it been framed intelligently and the diplomacy been executed long enough, we might have been able to build something along those lines. I mean, people forget that when we liberated Kuwait, the forces that we used included Syrians and Egyptians and Moroccans and Pakistanis, and everybody banded together because this was a good thing. We all needed to do it because it was a horrible thing that evil Saddam had attacked Kuwait, little Kuwait. And then when we did the invasion of Iraq, it was like almost nobody was with us. Even people who started out going, yeah, okay, we're your friends. And I remember halfway through the planning for the operation, the Canadians were invited to leave the room.
Oh, that was a good idea.
Because their government had said, we're not going to support the attack. We will be there to help in the rebuilding and the reconstruction and post-war, stabilization stuff. But we don't want to be part of an invasion like this. And rather than saying, okay, we understand, you can sit in on some of the stuff that we're doing, but we want to keep classifications, for people who are not directly involved. Quiet. No, it was Canadians out of the room.
Well, Bush was he had a lot of people. I remember when he had to satisfy a lot of contingencies, and I remember when he was standing in front of Congress trying to sell this thing, talking about he did build a coalition, as I recall, Palau, New Guinea, Ghana. You can see all these countries. You're like, this isn't real, right? I never even heard of this
one. The country that we really had fully cooperating was the Brits,
who paid, and Cameron paid a pretty heavy price for that. Not as heavy as he should have.
There were some Australians. They did. I don't think they sent ground troops in, but their ships supported the operation. And the Poles, very much under the table, and it was, do not talk about the fact that the Poles are sending troops in. They did send some special forces contingents to help out. But that was basically it.
But isn't that, I think that's what would have happened here, because basically everybody's intelligence said Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. So I don't know how Trump could have actually built a coalition.
Yeah. And, there was no purpose to it, but, certain companies needed to make no-bid contracts and get lots of money out of it.
Yeah.
Happy stockholders is a happy America, isn't it?
Texas has put a pause on Google's AI center they're building there when they learned that Google was requesting from the electrical grid 5 times the peak usage that the Texas electrical grid has ever had. And by the way, the electrical grid in Texas is already like MacGyver himself put it together.
Oh, yeah. And how many times do we hear about brownouts in Texas when it gets too hot or too cold?
So Abbott said, look, we thought you guys were going to be able to generate most of this on site, and I don't know where the miscommunication was. And then I'm reading who's got the contract to build it. Halliburton.
Say it ain't so.
Here we go. And we've all been looking into Greenland Energy, which is that bogus. You know who's on the board at Greenland Energy? Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is literally on the board. So we haven't found Halliburton there yet, but I'm sure there's somebody from Halliburton there. I'm willing to stake a good amount on that one. All right. So let me just see here. Okay, so we're going to get... Okay, my understanding is that there's some questions as to whether or not we're going to invest in repairing our military bases in Saudi Arabia, or whether Saudi Arabia would even let us, now that they may have their own defense pact, which would actually do them far more good than we've been able to do so far. Right now...
It's important to remember that we don't really have any full-time bases in Saudi Arabia. We have bases that were built by the Saudis to accommodate U.S. interests to help defend the kingdom in the event it was attacked. I think what happened in the lead up to this war with Iran is that we kind of, tried to sell them the whole thing about, they're getting the bomb. You need to have us attack them to prevent it. Oh, okay, sure, you can use your bases. I think that's probably what went on. And we talked earlier about the fact that at least those two countries, Iraq and Saudi Arabia, aren't really good friends for various reasons with Iran. So I could see that being allowed. But the Saudis are very, very conscious about having Western military forces stationed in their country because, that's where Osama bin Laden got his motivation to do what he did. Was, they had fouled the holy sites by allowing Westerners into the country.
Especially women.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing with them. So so right now, and I have a article here. It doesn't tell me when the relief ship, and what was it? It was the Washington, which has been operating in the South China Sea and has just finished a port call in Da Nang. It is now headed in that direction to relieve the Lincoln, but now they've got two carrier groups, right? One protecting Israel and one on the other side. So do they have one on each side? Okay.
We have one in the Mediterranean, which, with refueling support tankers, aerial tankers, the air wing off of that carrier can get into and do missions over Iran. The other carriers in the North Arabian Sea, I mean, theoretically, they might venture as far north as the Gulf of Oman, but I seriously doubt it. It's not particularly safe to do that, but if you had the need to. But
well, there are no civilians there that anyone wants to bomb right now. I mean, if Hegseth wanted to bomb some civilians in that area, I'm sure he'd be willing to go that far northeast, or northwest. But yes, anyways, please continue. Cheap shot, but I had to take it.
The key is that a carrier battle group stationed in the North Arabian Sea can pretty much cover anything in and around the Straits of Hormuz. So that makes sense. And then if you have long-range strikes that you want to put into northern Iran, you're probably launching those out of the Mediterranean battle group, and they fly over Israel and Jordan and Iraq.
So if we now have the previous aircraft carrier is going to be down, they had said 1.5 years. I think your the way of putting it was generous, was absolutely correct. I've seen, and you see that in everything, which is multiply that by 50% right off the top. So at a minimum, it's going to be down 2.5 years. So I now expect the Lincoln is going to be roughly the same. So we now have 2 aircraft carriers who are going to be down for that period of time, and 2 more that are in active combat. Where does the overall...
It gets even worse.
Oh, joy. Oh, enlighten me.
Well, there's probably 2 carriers right now that are in extended overhaul.
Yeah,
that's outside the ones we just talked about.
Because you always rotate those around, so there's always 2 essentially in extended overhaul.
Pretty much.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll have another 1 or 2 that are in stand down after a long deployment, and then you have 2 or 3 working up, ready for the next upcoming deployment. And you'll have 2 or 3 actually deployed.
Okay.
So it's a grand cycle scheme that goes around. The issue is that the F-35 can only operate from a certain limited number of flight decks.
Mm-hmm.
This is mainly because the F-35, the jet blast off of that thing is more powerful and more intense and hotter than the stuff that you would get off of an F-18. And the jet blast defector, if you've ever watched any movies, Top Gun, whatever, from operations on a carrier, when you see the aircraft sitting on the catapult just about to launch, they raise up this big flap from the flight deck.
Yeah.
That flap has cooling coils throughout the whole thing. And the thing it's doing is to launch off a carrier, you go to full military thrust on your engines.
Mm-hmm.
Afterburners on. And then they cat you off the ship. The jet blast is so intense, they need that barrier to prevent knocking everything off the back end of the ship. The trouble is, the F-35's jet blast is more intense than the 18, so they have to build specially configured jet blast deflector.
Or it's the last ship you can launch off of the...
Yeah, you can launch one strike, and then you don't have a jet blast deflector.
Oh dear.
So that means that all the ships that were in overhaul were getting these updated Just Blast deflectors.
Yeah.
But very recently, some genius in the Trump administration announced that we're going to take all of those changes off of the ships and go back to the old steam catapults. So the more modern carriers that were able to launch our friends, the F-35, are now going to have their maglev catapults removed and steam-powered catapults put in, except they don't have boilers to operate steam-powered catapults. So that means an extensive overhaul to install brand new steam boilers for the catapult.
That is one of the most mind-boggling things of this entire administration, is how they think they're going to save money by going back to doing things the old way, when the old way was clearly inferior, and that's we saved money by upgrading. And
well, like, eventually, what we'll do is we'll go back to, hide shields and splint knives, and that's how we're going to fight the next war, because that's a hell of a lot cheaper and far more reliable.
That's true. Well, and truth be told, it's a little eerie, and I think this gets a little into the nuance that you and I can appreciate and talk about sometimes. It's a little eerie how Putin-esque this is, because it's like, actually, if you did go back to that, you'd have the mindset of, well, the reason you could do that is because as long as you have enough people, you just don't worry about protecting them, don't worry about having good equipment, worry about just having a wave of people, so it doesn't matter, and you can just keep, because human life is a
model, which we're seeing play out very effectively with the Russians operating in Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe for Trump, he's
expend
just like
people, not equipment.
Well, yeah, Mark Kelly, actually, Senator Mark Kelly, who was basically put on trial for contradicting Trump and making him look bad in public by putting out that video saying, you're required to not follow illegal orders, which some people have, I mean, I don't know when was the last time we deliberately bombed civilians, but I know it's not as far back in history as I'd like. It's at least Venezuela. This was, let's see, from Mark Kelly. Yeah. I've launched off the front of aircraft carriers hundreds of times. I have a master's degree in aeronautical engineering. He's also been in space. And I'm a test pilot, and even I wouldn't suggest to the Navy how to engineer specific systems on ships. Donald Trump should stick to what he knows best: ballrooms, bankruptcy, and bullshit.
It's a good summary.
No? Yeah. Mark, you can see Mark Kelly's a lot of people are wearing thin of this BS, even MAGA. So there was a MAGA, I got to tell you about this. So the national park, and I said what the national park was, but I have since forgotten.
Big Bend.
Big Bend. The Big Bend National Park, and I don't have any pictures of it except for that one aerial. I don't think I have any pictures of it. Let me see. I don't think this is a picture of it. No. Oh, that's the AI one, which we are absolutely in an AI bubble. At some point we'll discuss that. I don't know that it's really worth getting into now, but it's a gorgeous national monument. I've seen a number of pictures of it. I didn't know what it was. It's in Texas, and I do my best to ignore Texas whenever possible. I'm not a huge fan of Texas. Rick Perry and I go back a little bit, and even though I know Rick Perry hasn't been in office for a very long time, I don't think you can elect Rick Perry, have him say the shit he did, and just be, just walk away with that. But at any rate, what it looks really weird from the inside. It's almost like two canyon walls, or really huge walls on either side. It's absolutely gorgeous. Apparently people noticed today, and I say they woke up today, and there was bulldozers going through the National Monument. Apparently it actually started a couple of days ago. It's just nobody noticed till now. And nobody put out there's no flyers, there's no we're doing this. It looks like they are going to try to build a wall through the National Monument. Now, apparently, for whatever reason, the amount of immigrants going through, I shit you not, illegal immigration or illegals passing from Mexico using this particular route is about 6 or 7 a year. That, not a month,
Just
not
to
a
clarify,
day.
that's not 600 or 700.
Yeah,
It's not 60 or 70. That's 6 or 7.
And I'm not sure. I will guess that there is some obstacle. Either it looks from what I'm seeing that there's a desert on the other side of it. So if you got through, you would be dead in a few hours. So nobody actually tries to. You don't need to build a border wall here. Nobody's stupid enough to try here because it's lethal. This is a aerial footage of the area, and you can actually see. First of all, you can see where the line is. You can see that green area, which is where the Rio Grande comes through, and actually has this huge, gorgeous
beautiful river valley park.
Yeah, and the valley, like I said, in the middle of the valley,
If you look carefully, you can see the little road that is used by Border Patrol, and that's where they're going to put.
Well,
giant wall. So all the beautiful part of the park is going to be fenced off, and nobody will be able to see it. It'll be in the dead man zone.
Yep. And you could see, so the Rio, that's like, especially right where it says Rio Grande, but anywhere along that, like the walls on either side, when you're in the valley, it looks gorgeous, and the walls that I've seen go up, it's got to be 200, 300 feet on either side, so you're going through this just absolutely gorgeous, and it should be a national monument, and at this point, at a minimum, they're gonna wall it off. You can see. It says start of construction on the left there. So I'm wondering if they're going to put the wall through that line where they're making it. Somebody suggested elsewhere that they're actually just going to put it right down the center of. And I'm like, you can't. There's a river. The Rio Grande is there, which the Rio Grande isn't actually.
I would imagine they're going to put it down on the access road there.
Yeah. Because
if they didn't do that, that means they have to build new roads to facilitate construction.
They're doing that. In fact, they're going to build. So let me see if I can find the actual article there. We do have this. I've dropped this in the Discord. They are actually already saying that they're going to build an entire new road from east to west. Why they need another one if they've got... I think that one by itself is too small. I think it's for patrol. It's not for carrying major construction. Heavy equipment. So they're building a new one. They've already knocked down a whole bunch of shit, and people are really pissed in Texas. Texas is taking this seriously. I don't know what Abbott's going to do. He must have signed off on this, but he's been keeping quiet. I've been on X, and I've seen a lot of people tagging him saying, you can't do this. And I found one MAGA guy, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I have to reply to this, especially since I don't have a verified account on I'm in a genuine bind when it comes to. I thought that I put this down. I'm in a genuine bind when it comes to this, and so far I've been ethical about it. When X was Twitter, it was a very useful and valid way for us to get out information about the show. I still send out information about the show on X. I still post about it. I used to, and by the way, I joined X when I was a full-time writer. 2 books. And I had 15,000 followers, and I followed. I had a rule. I never followed. I was 1% back, and the reason is because if people see that you know what I'm saying. If you have 15,000 people you follow and 15,000 followers, really it's a net zero because it's just people who are giving you a reciprocal. So. It was for me as a writer at the time, before I went on YouTube, it was an important social media tool. I still used it on YouTube. I went from getting easily hundreds of replies to anything I would post to one person has seen it. I mean, you see the metric, one person has seen it. And I'm just like, okay. But and there are people I can't reply to, and there are even people I can't contact. Certain people I can't contact Hodges now, and I can't people who I'm actually friends with on Twitter anymore because like, oh no, this person has a special account, so unless you pay, I haven't done it, and to date I'm just like I can't. I can't. The guy is the most horrible human, not the most, but he's pretty close. The most horrible human being in a planet. The nice thing is, if Musk is in the Oval Office, then the worst human beings on the planet are now kind of in the same vicinity. So one of them is the worst, whether it's Miller, whether it's Trump, I don't know. But so there was a guy, he's never going to see my reply because of the way it works now, but there was a guy, he was MAGA, and it was just like, well, all those liberals and the liberal judges, you know, wow, they as soon as Trump is doing anything in a liberal state, then you can see them jumping all over it. Where are they now? Where are the liberals now, stopping Trump as he's destroying, you know, this beloved monument? And I'm sitting there going like, dude, and he was, this is the first time he's ever, because he went right through his feed. I was like, no, big pro-Trump guy, but he's pissed about this, and he's blaming liberal judges for not stopping him. I was like, dude, we've been stopping, have you seen the East Wing? They are literally, Trump has decided, he's been told that he cannot add his name to the Kennedy Center. So, they have now put up tarping. They've taken down the words, as everybody knows. I shit you not, they are going to engrave his name into the Kennedy Center because they're not adding anything. They're chipping away material, and they will add, that's how they're going to get around it. This is, and for people who thought that Clinton was bad with, it depends on what your definition of the word is. This is like, well, we didn't add his name. We removed everything around. Oh my God. And I'm like, we've been trying to stop him. I was like, this guy's got it completely ass backwards. I'm like, you're only pissed when it's your monument. And by the way, there's already a federal complaint that's been issued against trying to stop him from doing this. Why are you sitting here blaming liberals instead of going out and fucking talking to probably the governor that you elected and all these people that are...
Because everything is always the other side's fault. You can never admit that your own side is flawed, because that would mean you're flawed. Oh, gee, I'm not flawed. I'm perfect. I guarantee you talk to MAGAs and they all think they're the best thing on the planet.
In high school, I thought I was perfect. I really did. Most teenagers that time think that. Then I realized how much harm came from thinking you're perfect and being unwilling to re-examine basic beliefs. And now I just pray to God I can get through the day without fucking up too much of other people's shit. Most of my life is spent trying to get around. And I was like, I'm sorry that these guys, if this is what they have to believe, okay, but you're fucking up the rest of the country between the AI bubble, which is real. It's a huge bubble. The total amount that's been invested into building and constructing AI currently exceeds the market capitalization of every single AI company, meaning every AI company has currently committed to building more data centers than the value of the company itself. Now, they're doing this on the assumption that the value is going to go up, but OpenAI hasn't turned a profit yet. They're losing $10 billion a year. So, and then China did something brilliant. They dropped a model that is 90% as good as our models for free, open source, that anybody can use. So now we've got this problem of all of these AI companies are taking out loans based on the valuation of the company going up, which they've been doing. I've heard this before.
When that bubble pops, it will basically drag down the entire world economy.
Yes.
And it will make what happened in 2008 look like a picnic.
Yep. Which is why I keep saying that there is a tech bubble. There's absolutely a tech bubble, but you have to separate AI from the tech bubble, because there's a tech bubble, which if that pops is going to suck. But it's the AI bubble that's the issue. And it's all debt. It's all debt on the assumption that AI is going to be, and somebody, and I forget who, somebody put this beautifully. They said, okay, everybody who is betting on AI is completely correct. They are absolutely right. AI will revolutionize things. But it's like at the Al Gore stage of the internet, pumping in all your money saying this is going to revolutionize the world. It's going to take 20 years. We are nowhere near the infrastructure. We're nowhere near the...
It's kind of like, go back and read up the history of when railroads started to get introduced. And they changed everything in the logistics structure. And things were crazy because nobody understood how that was going to work, what its implications were. They were investing like crazy. If it had the word steam,
yes,
they didn't care. Oh, it's going to make money. And you watch the stock market during that period. It was just up and down, almost, on a yearly basis. It's crazy. Until things settled out and you ended up with like 3 or 4 companies ran everything.
Yep. Like something like, I want to say it was almost 200 companies total started and only 3 survived.
This is starting at the peak. It was probably well over 800.
Jesus. I've got a graph of like every major bubble and how because somebody was like, how do the bubbles work and how do they, and it's sort of like we the way our economy grows, we're just going to swing from one to another. That's the way we've set up our economy. We shouldn't be doing it that way. But when you fund everything through debt or consumerism, you're going to have a problem. We have another problem now, which is we're moving away from technology. Trump is like, no, we're going to move back to coal. We're going to move back to manufacturing. The problem is, we're not good at those anymore, and the problem is we can't. That every other country is
going to continue using the more modern systems, which will make ours even less effective and efficient in producing the goods he thinks we're going to produce.
And then we can't. Please.
And then we'll have nothing.
Yep.
But this fits straight in with Elon's view of the world, which is that about half the U.S. population needs to be killed off because we have too many people in the country.
Miller said the same thing.
Yeah. And people don't understand. They think, oh, that's just hyperbole. They're joking.
Yeah.
No, that is their vision of the future.
And
so that's why we're destroying what little healthcare we had. The foods network is starting to collapse. All of it is, I would argue, deliberate.
Now, there was somebody else who had made the exact same argument, and I'm trying to make, because he made the argument on another sector that appears to be neglected. And he said that they did this back in when there was a huge wave of immigration, not just Irish immigrants, but immigrants who, for whatever reason were not particularly wanted. They're like, okay, if we can raise the cost of healthcare, if we can actually make the dollar stronger, did they want to make it stronger? They wanted to make it weaker. I think they wanted to make it weaker so that if you had fewer dollars, you were really screwed. If you had a lot of dollars, it didn't necessarily matter if it got that much weaker. So, and right now, they're trying to make the dollar weaker. They're inflating the yen, which they kind of have to do. But if the yen gets inflated, dollar gets weaker, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And this is right out of Mein Kampf. This is right out of Mein Kampf. Ignore for a second.
You don't need to read Project 2025.
Yeah. Hitler was very
the founding
clear.
Document was written in the 30s.
Yeah. And ignore all the anti-Semitism and just talk about how to construct an empire. And he was very clear about how an empire needed to grow.
The anti-Semitism is an integral part of it. It's just for the new version, we're going to change that to people of color.
Yes.
People of, non-normative sexual preferences, people who don't speak this language, anything other than what our vision of the true America is.
And take a look at Hegseth, and we've played him before, and I know we've had a few people who've objected to us playing Douglas Wilson at any time. It's one of those things where I understand the objection. He's one of the most horrific guys. He needs to be in that room of the top 10 horrific human beings walking the face of the earth right now. He's the one who said, yes, if I saw a Canaanite baby, I would smash its head against the rocks. Yes, I know I'd go to jail for the rest of my life. I'd lose my family, but that's what God said. It's in the Old Testament. I'd do it. He said that on television. Sweetheart. Anyways, he and Hegseth, and aside from Hegseth's Christo-fascist or Christian nationalist tattoos. He's not shy about at least the Christian nationalist part, but it's very hard to separate the modern Christian nationalist from white nationalism. They're almost one and the same. All right. Well, let's see. I want to see if there was anything else. I think I covered the. I was gonna bring up the Rubio picture again just for fun, but I think you got a little traumatized by that. So Rubio and address. There are some things about AI that you just have to love.
Oh yeah.
But 5 times. Texas is going to be an interesting thing. We're also talking, Turkey has started selling off a lot of its gold. China's been buying gold. It looks like they want to call the U.S.'s bluff, I think. They're nationalist Christians. Nazis for short. All right. China's Nazis. That took me a second. Okay, I should have. You know what? I should have sat there and I should have taken the extra second. That's a really good one. That's a really
it is. Good. It's a good one.
Oh Jesus! I've seen a couple others. We'll have to. Oh, we got to put this shit on the Discord because there's nothing that they hate more than being mocked. That's why the whole, Trump is going to have an aneurysm over this kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
as well. Yeah. So please, everybody, because Trump may have an aneurysm just looking at this, don't take the opportunity that this is here to hit and take a screenshot, which on most keyboards is the print screen button. Just above the what is that? The insert and home buttons on your keyboard. Do not take a picture of this. Do not go to our Discord and share it, because we don't know the psychological effect it could have on it.
Definitely don't post it on Facebook.
And don't post it on Facebook or X. On his specifically, or sorry, not X, True Social. Definitely don't put it on True Social. So we've got a lot more. We got a lot more on our Discord. It's hard to choose. Some I share just with friends because it's sort of like yeah, this is a little close to, this is cutting it close to terms of service. But at any rate. Turkey's been selling off a lot of its gold. The reason is because they can't. This is the other thing. So there's a couple of things we're watching. The AI bubble's going to bust. It's just a question of when. It could take 2 years. It could happen really quickly because Abbott blocking their ability. They're building these facilities right now, and the infrastructure. They want 5 times the peak usage of the entire Texas grid just for one Google facility. It's like until that problem's solved, they can build all they want to. They're not going to get the electricity they need, and Google's still going to need to pay the people who've invested in the company on the idea that it's going to be the winner on the AI rush. That notwithstanding, Turkey is selling gold in order to buy oil. And they have spent all their reserves. Our reserves are essentially spent, so I don't think we can go another 30 days before a massive oil spike if we stay in Iran. And they've said they're going to keep it closed. Yeah, keep your tanks filled, folks. That's not a joke, and that's not even because Iran has said they're actually going to keep... one of the things the head advisor, but it turns out it's to like one of their generals, and he can't speak for Iran, but he is quoting their policy. And we played the interview. And he said, "Yeah, we're gonna bleed Trump dry. We don't think we can get anything out of this administration, and we're just gonna wait, and the strait's gonna stay closed." So if that's the case,
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I think it's going to work. They have, according to him, replenished all of their missiles. They're making missiles faster than they're spending them.
2 weeks from having a nuclear weapon, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's the standard time zone that place on it every time we bring it up.
Okay, are they more 2 weeks away than they were last year, or less 2 weeks away than they were last year?
2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, good to know.
Week is an ill-defined term.
Yeah.
It could last hundreds of years.
Vague.
No.
Yeah. Listen, listen, I'm a smart dude, okay? I know Einstein's theory of relativity. Depending on where you are, a week could last a couple months or, a couple of seconds. It really just depends on how fast or dumb you are. So out of curiosity, before we go, it looks like their strategy is going to be to just keep doing what they're doing. Their missiles have been replenished. They earned $8 billion during the Memorandum of Understanding, where we're sitting there. We're the ones violating it. So when they're really, whenever they want to, they can start, shooting again. They had all the sanctions gone, so they sold $8 billion in like a 3 or 4 week period. They seem to be back up and running. Their people are suffering more than they have in a very long time, but that's what they're going to do.
Russia, they don't give a damn about the people.
Yeah, they don't. And I love when somebody comes out and says our sanctions are really hurting them. No, our sanctions are hurting the innocent civilians. The Republican Guard are all underground. They're reasonably well fed, and they got all the water they need. So, yeah, it's not hurting the people who are going to make the decisions. Yeah.
I didn't mean to imply that it was a similar fascist regime. It's not quite the same theocratic level of, authoritarianism, but it's working there. Give it time.
Yeah.
Trump will get us there.
Not yet. I actually did ask Sage if you can have a Christian caliphate. She kind of broke down at that point. Kind of a contradiction in terms, I know. But okay, so it looks to me like we are withdrawing from the Middle East in a significant way if we're pulling back our missions. It looks to me as if we may be forced out with the Mecca agreement, although it depends on how quickly. Now, the Mecca agreement does not apply to the current war, just to future ones, but that means Saudi Arabia is going to be reasonably safe if they get rid of us, which I think they intend to do. So where do you see this unfolding over the next, say, couple of weeks, 2 months?
I think as it becomes more and more apparent to the Orange God Kings regime that they not just don't have any cards left to play in the Middle East, that the people in the Middle East have moved on to a completely different game, and they're still desperately trying to play poker. I think as that realization comes in, they're likely to do something truly desperate. And I still think ground war is a possibility. Either that or Trump will have a Taco Tuesday again. And he'll simply, I did everything I wanted to. Straits open. You just have to pay for it. We bombed them back to Stone Age. They'll never get nuclear weapons except in 2 weeks. That's the whole mentality of this regime. It has been from the very start. Make up a reality, force sell it to the American public. The loyal base will eat it up like it's, caviar, and force it down everybody else's throat. That's what this is.
And from what I can tell, the people at Fox News have apps, because I know most of them know this stuff. I know they do because I've seen their emails, and because also the other thing with COVID, I love when they're like, you don't need to get a COVID vaccine, and COVID's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but they've all gotten vaccines.
They've all gotten vaccinated. They were all
They can't say anything on air because it's their jobs.
Yeah.
If they don't echo the party line, they're fired.
Which begs the question, how much money is a human soul worth? I suppose it depends on the soul, because if you're working at Fox News, the quality of soul already has to be reasonably low.
Pretty much in the basement.
Yeah. Oh dear Lord! And I assume you would agree with the idea that oil prices are probably going to take a hike at least as bad as they did in the 70s when we had the stations, because it's not just the problem is not just that our oil reserves are low, but every country has been trying to prop up and inflate the prices, and so every country is down on reserves. So we're all going to run out of oil at roughly the same time, and gas. We've been waiting for gas to go up to 200 a barrel, but I heard one economist say no, at this point, because we didn't take the hit early on and have been stretching the rubber band back by using our oil reserves by doing this, when this thing goes, you're looking at 300 to 400. I was just like, oh my God.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
So keep your gas.
What are the
topped off.
Europeans paying on average for gasoline right now?
They've been paying a lot. They tax their gasoline a hell of a lot. They've always paid more because we're willing to prop up the Royal House of Assad, so we get veto power.
Right, but my point is that Americans wouldn't tolerate having to pay European level prices.
That's true. Yeah.
And if we're going to have this whole thing collapse like the house of cards it is, it's going to be twice what European prices are when it hits us.
Yep.
Imagine the outrage that's going to hit in this country. And the Orange God King is going to have to find a way to point the finger and say it's all the Democrats' fault.
And it's either going to be Biden or it seems like
they control the airwaves.
I used to think that Trump wasn't racist. I used to think that, and there's some arguments to be made that maybe he's not for X, Y, or Z. He definitely is, at least when it comes to Mexicans. He's but I used to think, the only color he sees is green, and otherwise he doesn't care. But the reality is his hatred for Barack Obama is so disproportionate to any other president, anybody in any office in the country right now.
He knows Barack was so popular, and he is despised so much. And he can't take that. His shriveled little ego demands that he be number one in everything.
Yep.
Given the choice, he'd erase Barack Obama from the history books, just like you saw with the Soviets erasing people who've fallen into disfavor from their history books.
Oh, the pettiness. I told you this example, and I'm setting up. We're gonna end soon, and we're gonna send you guys over to Mark Reed, unless I get a better place. I think we're gonna send you all Mark Reed. He is doing Frank Turek on Fundamentalist Fails. Frank Turek has the advantage of actually having a PhD in philosophy, so he knows how to make an argument. And Turek requires a little concentration if you're going to go after him. So that should be good. So we'll send you guys over there. We were talking. Oh yeah, Trump. With the engraving onto the Kennedy Center, it's just like he has to have his name there, and he's now considering putting in. It's the John F. Kennedy Center, refurbished by Donald J. Trump. So to do it that way, so the name is the same, but he's still put his name on it. The Kennedy Center committee voted unanimously to put his name on, despite the fact it's on violation. I mean, they voted again. They had another vote. They're putting his name on, and it's all the people he installed. And they're just, it doesn't matter that they're breaking the law. It doesn't matter. It's just like, how much more Soviet? This is like Putin. This is when Putin's like, I think you guys, I think your vote was wrong, guys. Maybe you should try recalculating the ballot. It's insane, but it sort of reminds me, it's like, okay, he's got this fake FIFA Peace Prize. He has to get the Nobel Prize. He literally said during the State of the Union, something that blew my mind was, I'm going off the teleprompter a little bit, but the writers actually like it when I do that because they get all the credit for it. I'll say some things that they hadn't thought of, and they've won awards for things I've said right off the. He said that was the State of the Union. His writers have gotten awards for shit he said going off the prompter. So it reminded me of Family Guy, which is the cartoon. Everybody here probably knows what it is. Satires everybody and everything. But at one point, they did a satire on the Brady Bunch, and little Cindy goes to the bathroom, but she doesn't flush, and she calls everybody in, and they look, and she goes, "There's my poop, Daddy," and everyone's like, "Oh, and it's a magnificent poop. That's the greatest poop we've ever." Doesn't everybody think? And they're just, and I'm like, that's Trump. It's like I see Trump like taking a dump and going, "Hey, everybody, come here! Isn't this the best dump you've ever?" He did when Air Force One had to turn off the lights because they were landing either in a combat zone or combat zone adjacent. He actually had to tell the pilot afterwards, "Did you see how I turned off the lights? What a good job I did." It's like, should you really have the nuclear codes? Because I'm just a little concerned. Did you see how warm it is in Florida now? I mean, they said it was getting too cold there, but I solved that problem. All right. Any final words before we go?
Nope, not really.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We are going to do our movie night. We've been doing, we did the Big Short last week, because again, I do think we're going to see multiple bursts, and we're talking about the consequences of certain economic strategies that the U.S. has been using to inflate the debt, which has grown by a shocking amount. We'll save that for another show, but our interest rate, paying the interest on the debt, now exceeds either Medicare and Medicaid or as soon as you say the military, because the military is over half our budget anyway, or almost half our budget. We pay more on servicing the debt than we do our entire military. That's insane. And that's not sustainable. So we're going to be doing Too Big to Fail, which is also the 2007 crash, but from the perspective of the U.S. government, them trying to keep the U.S. afloat and other countries all trying to stay afloat, as just the housing market problem ends up affecting the entire world economy to the point of almost bringing it all down. So that'll be Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then Tuesday at 7 p.m. we're going to have Xandering Within Time. And next week, same time, same channel, we will have Commander back. Thank you all for joining us. Come join us on the Discord if you want to talk to any of us. Lance has always been good about answering people's questions, so I am also good about it, but no one ever wants to ask me squat. So come join us on the Discord. Please, do like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for doing that and for your support. And we will see you on the Discord for movie night, 6 p.m. Sunday. Have a good night, all. And do say hi to Mark. I'm going to drop in on Mark briefly. It takes me a few minutes to wind everything down. So have a good night, all.